Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Dr. Terry E. Long, Sr., and we'll be discussing his fantastic book, Precepts in Christian Parenting, Biblical Guidance for Raising Teenagers. Available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, pretty much wherever books are sold. But guys, if you want to gather everything that Dr. Long has to offer, well, you need to do yourself a favor and you need to head directly to his personal site. And that's drterrylongsenior.com. Now, Doctor and Senior are both abbreviated, so DR and SR. Terry Long, traditional spelling, Terrylong. There, not only will you find more information on Dr. Long himself, you'll find more information on this fantastic book, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's drterrylongsenior.com. Dr. Long was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business, Far Eastern Marketing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, well, do yourself a favor and contact our great friends over at Far Eastern. And you can find out more information on them at fareasternmarketing.com. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Dr. Long, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Mr. Cole.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you for being a guest. It's truly a pleasure, and we're really looking forward to all of the words of wisdom that we're going to be able to receive from you today and implement into our day-to-day lives. And even though I don't have any children yet, I come from a very big family with plenty of kids, all bordering on that teenage year right now. So this is going to be very informative for my entire family, as well as I know it's going to be for my listening audience. Now, Dr. Long, start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
I was raised in a Christian family in Columbus, Ohio. I was baptized by my father when I was 8 years old. My father served as a senior pastor. I currently serve as the senior pastor of the St. Paul Baptist Church in Fairfield, California. I also work as a part-time chaplain at a hospital in Sacramento, California. I'm married and I have 4 adult-age children, and I have 5 grandchildren. I received the Doctor of Ministry degree from the Graduate Theological School in San Anselmo, California. I received the Master of Divinity degree from the Berkeley School of Theology in Berkeley, California. I received certification as a board-certified chaplain from the Association of Professional Chaplains, APC. I am ordained by the American Baptist Churches, USA, and I am the author of Precepts in Christian Parenting, Biblical Guidance for Raising Teenagers.
Dr. Long, listen, we're going to have you back on the network, not to discuss this book, not to discuss any other books you write in the future, man, just to discuss your background, because your resume is so impressive. I'm sure you have stories for days, and we would love to hear them. So that is absolutely incredible. Congratulations on all of the accolades that you've been able to amass, but also congratulations on what sounds like a beautiful family that you've surrounded yourself with, and nothing but continued success to you and your loved ones.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Dr. Long, without further ado, Precepts in Christian Parenting, Biblical Guidance for Raising Teenagers. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
The purpose of my book, Precepts in Christian Parenting, is to teach parents how to reinforce their children's undesirable behavior and how to extinguish their children's undesired behavior by using biblical principles. The issues addressed are communication skills, discipline, fighting, drugs, premarital sex, school, and making house rules. The age range of the children for whom this book is designed are children between the ages of 13 and 18.
Can you walk us through your process as a writer and really what all of that entailed in culminating into this book?
My book comes out of my dissertation project for the completion of the Doctor of Ministry degree at the Graduate Theological School in San Anselmo, California, formerly known as the San Francisco Theological Seminary. Initially, my book was 7 workshops on Christian parenting, but I modified it to a book. Parents can benefit teachings without having to attend a workshop. Back in 1997, I was working as a youth minister when I had to choose my dissertation subject. I had parents at the church where I was serving to me for guidance to help them deal with their teenagers. And I had 3 teenagers of my own at the time. My focus at work and at home was on raising teenagers. So after much prayer, I chose to write my dissertation on the subject of Christian parenting for teenagers. I did surveys of parents at the church where I was serving as the full-time youth minister to see what they would like the workshops to cover. I did a lot of studying and research and came up with 7 workshops that I later turned into 7 teachings on Christian parenting. My plan was to publish my dissertation immediately after I graduated, but after I graduated, I started working as a senior pastor of a church and as a part-time chaplain at a hospital. Work kept me busy, so I didn't have time to begin working on my book. I kept waiting to get a big block of time, but it never came. So in 2018, I started doing a little bit of work on my book each week, and about 6 months later, I was ready to submit it to be published.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And Dr. Long, what would you say was the most difficult part?
All of the study and research that I initially put into preparing my dissertation project was the most difficult part. I pretty much used the same research and teachings in my book, Precepts in Christian Parenting.
Mm-hmm. And in your opinion, what do you think will be the impact that your book has on its readers?
Parents who read Precepts in Christian Parenting will learn Christian parenting skills that will increase their chances of helping their teenagers to live successful Christian lives. Many parents who have read Precepts in Christian Parenting have told me things like the book was good, the book was helpful, I learned a lot, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Again, here in the line with Dr. Terry E. Long Sr., we're discussing his amazing book, Precepts in Christian Parenting, Biblical Guidance for Raising Teenagers, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, or directly through his personal site, drterrylongsenior.com. You know, Dr. Long, your book is filled with such valuable information. Multi-part question here. First and foremost, what would you say is the intended message that you're trying to relay? And also, how would you like your readers to interpret it?
The intended message that I want to relay is the 7 teachings on Christian parenting. Each teaching deals with important parenting skills and has its own chapter. The aim of the chapter, Requests That Get Good Results, is to teach parents how God wants Christians to communicate, to teach parents how to talk with their children in a way that will not tear down their children's self-esteem, to teach parents how to effectively request things of their children, and to teach parents that communication with their children is a two-way line of communication. The aim of the chapter, God's Method of Discipline, is to teach parents God's purpose for discipline and to teach parents God's method of discipline. The aim of the chapter, Raising Children to be Peacemakers, is to teach parents God's strategy for making peace, to teach parents how to stop tension before their children and their peers allow it to escalate into a fight. The aim of the chapter, The Deception of Substance Abuse, is to teach parents the Bible's position on substance abuse, to teach parents ways to detect substance abuse among their children, and to teach parents ways to prevent substance abuse. among their children. The aim of the chapter, Raising Children Chaste, is to teach parents God's design for sex, teach parents how to keep their children from avoidable sexual temptation, to teach parents the Bible's position on contraceptives, and to teach parents how and when to end a potentially sinful relationship their children may have with a boyfriend or girlfriend. The aim of the chapter, Raising Smart Children, is to teach parents God's design for education, to teach parents how to help their children develop good study habits, to teach parents that education pays, and to teach parents how to help their children select a career. The aim of the chapter, God's House Rules for the Home, is to teach parents how and when to create house rules that will help their children grow as Christians. Teach parents how to create house rules that will teach their children to hold God in reverence and to respect their parents and to respect the feelings and property of others, and to teach parents how to motivate their children to comply with the house rules by using rewards and consequences. How I want the readers to interpret the teachings is to use them to help them make their own decisions about their children and their family. Some parents may agree with the guidance offered in this book and others may not. The aim of this book is to present the 7 teachings on Christian parenting so the parents can understand the information offered, but the parents are to decide how best to use the information for their teenagers.
No, thank you very much, because it's a great segue that you just established, because you're talking about the different chapters already. Now, I know within the book, there's a specific chapter on God's method and discipline. Can you elaborate on what that method and discipline is, please?
Yes, John chapter 15, verses 1 and 2 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes that it may bear more. Now, Jesus says, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes that it may bear more fruit. A similar thing must be done for our children. Our children are like branches growing that should be producing good works. God's method of discipline is to prune undesirable behavior by giving logical consequences to weaken undesirable behavior. To model God's method of discipline, we have to ask ourselves, what rewards are my children getting out of their undesirable behavior? Then we have to create a consequence that will remove the rewards our children are getting from their undesirable behavior. Children should not use, parents should not use physical force on an adolescent unless they are trying to break up a fight, take a weapon from them, or keep them from hurting themselves or others. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4 says, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. The word admonition means mild rebuke. Consequences do not have to be a long removal of privileges or the use of physical force to be effective. The key to disciplining children is consistency. Parents have to give a consequence each time the undesirable behavior occurs. Short work details is an alternative to long punishments and using physical force. Most children know parents are reluctant to use physical force or remove privileges for long periods each time they misbehave, so they test the limits. Children may not believe that parents will hit them or ground them for a long period of time every time they do something wrong, but they will believe you if you say, do as I ask, or you will have to scrub the bottom of a pot or wash some windows or pull weeds in the yard. If you say this to your children and they refuse to comply, give them a second work detail. If they still refuse to comply, start removing privileges. Restore the privileges when your original request and the two work details are complete. Work details are short and easy, so they can be applied every time the undesirable behavior occurs. Parents can decrease the need to discipline their children by doing fun things with them. Doing things with children that are fun is necessary for healthy relationships between parents and children. Most families are too busy or cannot afford to spend time doing things that are fun. Spending time doing things that are fun is one of the most important parenting skills of all, because the family that plays together will have better communication between the parents and the children. Fun time is doing things that the children and the parents enjoy doing together. Doing fun things together regularly will send children the message that they are loved and their company is valued. Children will be more willing to do what is requested of them because time has been spent with them doing fun things. When parents find it necessary to punish adolescents, they need to have some credits built up with them, because as adolescents grow older, they must choose to accept the punishment their parents hand out. That is one of the big differences between dealing with younger children and managing the behavior of adolescents. You cannot force your will on an adolescent. You may win for the moment, but when they are away from home, they can and will have their way. That is one of the reasons it is so important to have fun together as a family.
And the last question here, Dr. Long, as we close out such a fantastic interview, being an artist myself, I love having this platform to be able to pay it forward, in a sense, to other artists out there listening in. Now, in this instance, other writers out there listening in. Now, you're someone that has been through the process. You've not only written the book, but you've also gotten the book published. And anyone that's been through the process understands that writing the narrative is only half the battle. Now, for any listening audience members that maybe are inspiring writers or new writers, people just starting out, what words of wisdom would you be able to relay to them?
You can publish your first book and become an author through prayer, study, and perseverance.
I love it. There it is. Short, sweet, to the point, very concise. Guys, I absolutely love that advice. And you know what I love even more? Listen, we're at the end of the interview now, and we've discussed so much information. But here's the crazy part. We've barely scratched the surface. There's still so much left to be discovered, and that's why the onus is on you. Okay, there's no getting around it. I'm going to say it one more time, even though I know I don't have to. Here in the line with Dr. Terry E. Long, Sr. We just finished discussing his fantastic book, Precepts in Christian Parenting, Biblical Guidance for Raising Teenagers. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, but directly through his personal site, drterrylongsenior.com. You surely will not be disappointed. Let's grow, let's develop, let's educate ourselves. And it starts with this amazing narrative. Dr. Long, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Thank you for having me.